from the OGs with a couple of calls. Got my paperwork straight and found something to haul. Now it's MC check, DOT check. Put my name up on my shirt so I can say it with my chest. Give me my respect. It's T Swin, sonny. Where you headed, sonny? Boy, I'm headed to the money.
She Trucking Podcast is an informative podcast that is dedicated to bringing listeners the latest news and updates from the ever-evolving transportation industry. Founded by industry expert and entrepreneur Sheree Moore, and powdered by CTR Media Network. Whether you're a seasoned transportation professional or just getting started in the industry, the She Trucking Podcast offers valuable insights and advice to help you stay ahead of the curve. Learn more online at shetrucking.com.
Hello, y'all. My name is Gabrielle Simmons. I am doing the She Trucking takeover tonight, okay? The business spotlight. It's all about me today. Yay, I'm excited. So I'm going to share with y'all my journey, how I went from trucker to investor, and what that has looked like for me, where I'm at today, and how I'm looking to get more involved in the trucking industry, because I have been really caught up in all things real estate lately. Okay, so let me just start by telling y'all I absolutely adore Sheree. Okay, and She Trucking, this is an amazing platform. She has been doing amazing things for so many years. I actually met Sheree when I was over the road, I think like 3 years ago, maybe even 4. I started trucking in 2017 at the ripe age of 23 years old. I decided to quit my job, go right into truck driving school here in Colorado, and hit the ground running. I went to Schneider. I was part of the Big Orange, very proud of that. I love Schneider. They're a great company. And I did some team driving initially. Awful. Okay. If any of y'all have done team driving or are currently doing team driving, you know what I mean. Team driving is tough, y'all. It's even more tough when you're driving with somebody who should not hold a CDL. But I'm not going to go into that. I was at Schneider for a while, loved it. And after 9 months of being over the road, living out of my truck completely, that in itself was a big jump of overcoming fear, right? The fear of leaving home, the fear of basically being homeless, living in your truck and being a woman, even though I was accompanied by a gentleman. It's still very scary, as a lot of us women know, being out here by yourself sometimes. It can be really scary for us, but overcoming that fear and getting out there allowed me to get to where I am today. And I mean, without the opportunity to get into trucking, I don't know where I'd be, really, because this has been everything for me. But after 9 months of being on the road, company driver for the Big Orange, y'all can see my videos on YouTube. I share lots of information about the company and kind of how the process works. If you're a new trucker, you're looking to get started, I do recommend you check out Schneider as one of your options. They were great for me. 9 months after driving with them and being team, hey Wanda, hello. I decided to buy my own truck. So, I don't know what you're hearing out there. Right now, it's a tough market for sure in the industry as a whole. But back then, I was being told every day, don't buy a truck, don't buy a truck. But that was my goal. That was my dream. And so even if it didn't make a whole lot of sense financially, which it did. It really did. I made great money as a lease operator. I knew that I had to go for it. I knew that even if it meant that I made the same amount of money as I did as a company driver, that I needed my own truck because that was my goal. That was my dream. Not making it happen was not an option. So got a lease truck from Schneider, a slightly used 2018 Freightliner Cascadia. You know, we love those freight shakers. Just be shaking all day while we driving. But she was a beauty, and I miss her deeply. Like, I cried when I sold my truck. But I did that by myself. You know, that was the first time I was by myself out here on the road. That's when I met Sheree, actually. We met at a truck stop. Well, we had already connected through the She Trucking Facebook page. And then I just bumped into her at a truck stop one day. I don't even remember if she recognized me or I recognized her, but we were both like really excited to see each other because we had talked quite a bit over Facebook. And so spending a whole year out here by myself, let me tell y'all, that was the most pivotal moment of my whole entire life. Like, being single, being a woman, being out here on the road by myself completely, like completely by myself, not having a home to go to. You know, I lived in my truck. I didn't have a car. I didn't have anything other than my truck, my bed in the back of the truck, and all my cute little girly stuff in there. And that was beautiful for me. You know, I don't know if y'all um, see the value in making your truck home, but especially if you're out here over the road full time, make your truck your piece, you know, make it your home, because you're going to feel so proud every time you step in there, and it's clean and it smells good and it's decorated how you want it to be. It really has a positive impact for our psyche to experience that, because, as you know, those of you who are truckers watching this, it's tough out here, you know, and especially being alone, not having a lot of people to talk to, dealing with being at dirty, dusty ass uh, shippers, and you know, you feel grungy, you're sweaty, might have a hard time finding a shower some days. The least we can do is make our truck home, you know, make it feel good, make it smell good, like I said, and just be our peace, be our sanctuary that we can come to at the end of the day. And I did that, and it really, really made me appreciate the opportunity to be a woman in this country, in this world, and have the freedom to be out here trucking and overcoming my fears that could have been debilitating, right? The fears of being out here by yourself as a beautiful woman, as a young woman, that can be debilitating. Sometimes that keeps people from making that leap. But you know, the fact that I did it and I loved it with my whole heart, that's what got me here today. So a little bit more about where I am today now. Um, I have since gotten out of trucking and more into real estate. So in a second here, we're going to go ahead and show you one of my videos that tells you a little bit more about that. I did my first 2 wholesale deals while living in my semi-truck in a completely different state. I did what's called virtual wholesaling. I also paid $0 for marketing to get those first 2 deals. Click the link below to get access to my Wholesale Mastery course. Well, I will teach you how to do virtual wholesaling, as well as how to get deals coming to you with no money out of your pocket. All right, so hopefully you guys could hear that. The message was just saying that I went from truck driving to virtual wholesaling. So I got into real estate as a wholesaler. Now I want to make something super clear, y'all, because I got to tell people this every day. I am not a real estate agent, okay? I'm a real estate investor and I'm a real estate wholesaler. Excuse me. And what that means now to do virtual wholesaling. Well, while I was still over the road, excuse me, my voice is giving out. Thank you so much, Sheree, for giving me a second there. So back to what I was saying, y'all, and that commercial was awesome, by the way. I really look forward to getting out here to some of these trucking shows and getting more involved in the trucking space and getting back out here to empower my ladies, my fellow sisters of the road, my fellow sisters who are entrepreneurs, right? I really want to get more, connected with y'all. So be sure to reach out to me, guys. My IG, all that will be on here for y'all to see. Please follow, connect, reach out. Let's talk. Okay. So I went from full-time over the road driving. While I was doing that, when I would park my truck at the end of the night, I was learning all about real estate. So books, YouTube videos, podcasts, all the things. And what I learned is the best way to get into real estate is wholesaling, because wholesaling involves no money. It's the best way to get into real estate because you don't have to have the capital to go and buy properties because you're not buying any properties. So as a wholesaler, what I do is I find someone who needs to sell their house and I agree to buy the house from them. Let's give an example. I agree to buy the house from them for $200,000. And let's say that that's a good deal, right? Like that's below market value of what the house is actually worth. So then I'm going to go and I'm going to sell that contract, just the piece of paper, not the actual house, because I never bought the actual house. I'm going to sell the contract to an investor who has the money to pay cash to buy that property. But I'm going to sell it to him or her for $220,000. And it's still a good deal for them, right? So learning how to run the numbers is the hardest thing about this business, but it's really not that hard. Again, I learned it by myself through books and podcasts and YouTube videos. So Bigger Pockets. Check out biggerpockets.com, Bigger Pockets books. They have lots of books on wholesaling, on virtual wholesaling, which is where you're doing what I just described, but you're doing it from another location. So you're in your truck driving. Yep, Bigger Pockets. That's it right there. You're in your truck driving and you're doing a deal. You're in Texas right now and you're doing a deal in Ohio. That's virtual wholesaling, is you're doing the deals in a place where you are not at. Okay. So I was driving OTR and y'all like my steering wheel. I do it like back in the day, where the trucks had these huge old steering wheels. My little 2018 freight shaker didn't have no big old steering wheel like that, but Anyways, I started doing that while I was still trucking. So I was OTR and I did my first 2 deals in Colorado. And I'm from Colorado, but I hadn't been here or lived here for about 2 years at the time. So I got those deals simply by branding myself, by putting myself out there on my Facebook, on my Instagram, social media, as I buy houses. I'm an investor. I can help you solve your real estate problems. So, as a real estate wholesaler and investor, you're typically working with a different kind of demographic than a real estate agent, right? A real estate agent's job is typically to help someone who is looking for a house to live in with their family, or they are on the other end of that, helping someone sell their house, and that person wants top dollar. They typically have some time to wait so they can put it on the market, make it look nice, get the most amount of money out of it, right? As a wholesaler, as an investor, we are dealing with some shit, okay? And so that's what we put out there. We let people know, hey, I'm willing to help you deal with your shit. I'm willing to help you. You're in pre-foreclosure. I'm here to help. You are going through a divorce. I'm here to help. You just inherited a property from your grandfather that passed away. I'm here to help, right? So just branding myself with those messages, putting that out there, I was able to pretty quickly get my first couple deals done. And so while driving, I was making good money as a owner operator. And at that time, I was still at Schneider. Um, I was making great money, but then doing these wholesale deals, I was able to make 8 grand in a matter of 2 weeks on one deal. And then the next month I made 11 grand. So that was almost $20,000 in a matter of 2 months in extra income that I was making now while driving full time. And it really didn't take that much time, like at that point. Of course, learning about it took the most amount of time. And also not being afraid. Again, like it goes back to overcoming those fears. And we all have fears. I don't know if any of y'all have ever cold called. You ever worked one of those jobs where you got to pick up the phone and just call people and try to sell them something? When you're starting out in real estate as an investor, as a wholesaler, sometimes you got to do that. Or even you're just calling somebody back, but still, like it's a cold situation. They're not warmed up to you yet. You have to sell yourself. You have to sell that you know what you're talking about, even though this is something new. And that was very difficult for me. But getting into trucking, overcoming the fears of trucking, of being a woman out on the road by myself, that gave me this like ego, that gave me this thought of like, I can do anything. Literally, I can do. All of us ladies that are in trucking, men too, it's scary and dangerous for y'all out here too, but especially my sisters. Like, if we can do this, y'all, we can do anything. Okay. And real estate seems like it's this big scary thing, right? Like you're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. You're talking maybe money that's being borrowed. It's scary, but it's nothing. It's nothing compared to what we've already overcome as truckers, So we take that strength that we now have in ourselves into real estate. And I'm encouraging y'all to do this because trucking and real estate go hand in hand, in my opinion. And it's a very biased opinion, obviously. But no matter what avenue you want to go down, adding real estate to your trucking business, whether you are a fleet owner, whether you are a company driver, whether you are an owner operator, adding real estate into your bucket of things that you do with your life, with how you make money, is going to increase your wealth exponentially in a short amount of time. So whether that's wholesaling, that's how I got started, but that's not how I ended up, y'all. And I'm going to give you a little bit more information about some of the amazing things I've been able to do now that I've learned so much about real estate. But whether you want to do wholesaling, whether you want to get into owning rental properties and you do have some capital to invest in that, or you want to be a real estate agent, like that's okay too. I'm not knocking agents, although most of them don't know their head from. Anyways, do what calls you, okay? But do something in real estate is what I'm telling you, because it will unlock doors that trucking can't. And trucking is an amazing thing. It's an amazing opportunity. We provide an amazing service for our entire country. But getting into real estate, you're going to create generational wealth, and it's guaranteed. Like, you can't be in real estate. You can own one property. You can go and buy and own one property, and that in itself can create generational wealth for your family, for your children, for your kids' kids. It can. You just have to know how. So imagine if you multiply that, okay, and you get to a point where I got to a point where I owned and or controlled over $5 million in real estate at one time. And it's not because I'm rich. Actually, I had probably the least amount of money during that time when I controlled all of that real estate. And we call it asset rich, cash poor, right? Because getting into that type of position where you have all of these properties and they're making me money, but not a lot of money. But that's my full-time gig. That's my full-time job. I don't truck no more. I don't work an actual job. I wholesale and I buy investment properties and I control investment properties. I'm going to get into that a little bit more in a second too. I'm gonna make this a little bit of a coaching session for us tonight. So it's not just about me and my story, but I want to definitely pour into y'all and share with you guys some strategies on how you can get started like today, controlling real estate, and you don't need a lot of money to do it. Okay. So just jumping back here. I started wholesaling while I was still trucking full time, right? And then my now partner Q, he came on the truck to drive with me. We went tanker. We were making better money than we were driving. But I was like, I don't want to do this no more. Like, I'm tired of trucking. I don't have a life. And maybe y'all ain't there yet, but once you get there, and it was very quick for me, but I have like that shiny object syndrome. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I really want to do this. I'm really into it. And then I do it. And then I'm like, all right, what's next? Like, oh, that thing over there, that looks cool. Let's do that. So that was me with real estate. I was like, I'm tired of trucking. I got to get out of here. I want to have a life. I want to be able to travel more and not like, being in the truck traveling, but going to different countries and stuff. So I came off the truck. Q kept driving. And because he was able to give us that consistent income, I was able to start my wholesaling business from the ground level and do it full time. I didn't make great money that first year. My first year as a full-time wholesaler and just learning, I made about $50,000. And I mean, that's not bad money, but it definitely is not what I was used to making as an owner operator. So I stayed with it though. And I'm glad I did, because that second year, y'all, it was incredible. So first year was 2020. That's when I started. I did my first wholesale deal January 2020. By January 2021, I was set up in a way. I had my stuff down. I was making 20 to 40 grand a month, every month, consistently. And it was incredible. I was able to do so much. Backtrack just a little bit. I knew that getting out of the trucking business, and this is super key, okay? But we got a commercial break here. Oh no, my connection was messing up. My bad. So super key, y'all. If and when you decide that you want to take a leap out of trucking, out of whatever you're currently doing, if you're an entrepreneur, you got different kinds of businesses. When you decide that you want to take a leap out of that and into real estate full time, buy a house first. If you don't already own a house, buy a house first. That's what I did. So I started wholesaling January 2020, but June of 2020 was when I actually got off the truck. And that same month, I house hacked. I did what's called house hacking. That's a phrase coined by Bigger Pockets. And it means to buy a property and live in it, or buy it as your primary residence and rent out other spaces in the home or other units. And that way you can live for free. So I bought a duplex and I bought it as my primary residence in Pueblo, Colorado, which is a shitty little city. It's about an hour south of where I currently live in Colorado Springs. And I bought it for $130,000. Because I bought it as my primary residence, anytime you do that, you qualify for typically an FHA loan. And that allows you to come with a very minimal down payment. If you've ever heard that you need 20% to buy a house, even 10% to buy a house, that is not true. Don't believe it, because you don't. Especially if you're buying it as your primary residence, you only need 5 to 3.5%. Okay. And that's a much smaller number, right, than 10 to 20%. And so I bought this property. I think I had to bring like $6,000 to closing, was all the cash I had to have. And it actually was all the cash that I had. Me and Q put our money together, and we were just dating at this time. We weren't married or anything. And we both saw this as a great opportunity. We put our money together, the $6,000 that we could, save up, and bought this house. And so my mortgage was like $740 a month. It's a duplex. So I could rent out one unit for $1,100, the bigger unit, and then live in the smaller unit. And then I just got a roommate because I was hardly ever there. I knew I was never really going to be there because I was still trucking off and on. And I would just stay with my mom in Colorado Springs half the time so that I could be closer to the properties that I was going to be looking at regularly. So keep that in mind. You can house hack. You can buy a house, find a duplex, or it can just be a big house, maybe you can rent out the bedrooms, but then you can live for free. And if you don't live there, you're supposed to live there, okay? If you don't live there or you don't spend a lot of time there, you can have a roommate in your unit. So I had a roommate in my unit that paid $500 a month, and then I rented out the other unit for $1,100 a month. So that was $1,600 a month of income. I had to pay all the utilities because they weren't split, and my mortgage. I still made crazy money every month on an asset that I could own and control. And that basically is a giant savings account that also is appreciating in value every single year. That is how we go from trucking to real estate and creating generational wealth. Just like that. That's one example. And everybody watching this, everybody can do that, right? It might take us some time. You got to have 2 years in the same industry, working the same type of job, or 2 years being self-employed, and obviously qualify as far as your income goes for the property, and have at least about, I want to say the minimum now is like 620 credit score. So it might take you some time, but that is achievable. That's achievable for all of us. And you do one of those, you're looking at great income every month. You're looking at the potential to be able to live for free. Even if you don't have a roommate, live for free. And then just do that over and over again, right? So since then, aside from that, I wholesaled all 2020. Sometimes I would go on the truck and drive with Q, and we'd take little trips to California and all that. Then 2021, started making crazy buku bucks, right? And then I learned how to control houses without needing to buy them, without needing to get a bank loan. I learned how to do what's called arbitrage. Okay. We're going to go to a commercial break real quick, and then I'm going to get into that a little bit more.
There's a boy named King. He was a very smart student who loves to read and learn new things.
4-year-old King Chambers is already a superhero. His mission, to teach kids how to read.
I read 90 books.
And not only that, he recently wrote his very first book titled King the Dream, starring, well, himself.
My name is King. Thank you for processing my book.
King's mother, Jennifer Ellis, says he learned how to read at the age of 2.
And I read books to him all the time. Even when he was in the womb, I read books, and he loved it.
Ellis says after King mastered reading, he told his mom he wanted to write his own book.
He came up with he could teach kids how to read. And so we helped him put it all together, put his dream in a book.
And now, at just 4 years old, King has become an advocate for children's literacy, math, and education.
I want to teach people how to read. How to read.
His mom says he always encourages his peers to read and learn new things.
Anytime he see a kid, he let them know about his book. And they are so excited because it's nothing like having your own peer teach you how to read.
Ella says she is not sure what's in store for King, but she knows his future is bright.
There's no rule book to parenting, but just give them 100% the best of you and all the love, because they're our future.
There is no word on a sequel, but he's got plenty of time.
Come get my book.
King will be starting school next year, and we cannot wait to turn the pages of his next book.
The end.
Thanks for watching.
All right. I love that. I love that commercial of King and his book. I'm going to be ordering that book for my nephews. So diving back in, y'all, I learned how to do arbitrage. And arbitrage is where you control a property. You can do this with anything. You can do this with trucks. You can do this with houses. You can do this with businesses. You can do this with anything. But specifically, I learned how to do this with houses. So the strategy is to rent a house from a homeowner, right? Not someone who wants to sell, but somebody who wants to rent their house out. We rent it from them, but our lease is not a standard lease. Our lease actually allows us to sublease the property out to other people and out onto platforms. We have the right to market the property, to take photos of it and post it online. So with that, I started doing Airbnb. And I know we all have heard about Airbnb. We've heard how dope the money can be and all of the opportunities that can come with it. So I wanted to get into that. I knew I was already good with the wholesaling stuff. I wanted to try something new. Like I said, that shiny object syndrome got me. And so I got my first property June of 2021, my first arbitrage property. So at this point, I had only owned my duplex, but I had already done over 40 real estate transactions as a wholesaler. But as a wholesaler, I'm not owning these houses. I'm not flipping these houses. I'm simply selling a piece of paper, right? So I got my first Airbnb June 2021. And by December 2021, I had 4 of them. I controlled 4 properties, each of which, my first 2 were my biggest houses. I don't know how familiar y'all are with Colorado Springs, but we have some really beautiful homes, especially on the north side with mountain views. We got Pikes Peak, America's Mountain here. And the first house I got, big ass house, 3,500 square feet, 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom. The value of this property was like $660,000 at the time. Okay. And I got control over this house with 2 months rent. My rent on this place is $2,800 a month. What is that? My math sucks. $5,600. $5,600 was the money that I needed to control this asset. The $660,000 asset I just got control of for like 1% of the value, right? And then I put in $6,000 to fully furnish it. And I didn't know what the heck I was doing, y'all. I have a friend here, and he had done 6 properties by this time. And we connected through Facebook, and I said, hey, I'd really love to learn some more. I would love to exchange information because I understand that you have an interest in wholesaling. Let's get together. I'll teach you more about wholesaling. You teach me more about Airbnb, and we can just swap, because usually people pay me for me to teach them. And he had never done any coaching, actually. He's never taught anybody how to do what he was doing. So he didn't think that he could even really coach it. But I went out to a house that he was furnishing, and I was like, let me help you put it together. We're putting together beds, we're hanging pictures, we're hanging TVs. I just volunteered a little bit of my time and asked him all the questions. Who do you contact? What do you say? What do you rent it for? How do you know how to run the numbers to figure out what it can rent for every month? And I'm going to give you those answers, okay? Go to Zillow. I told you, you're going to leave here with some actionable steps you can take right now to own or control real estate. This is the control part. We'll get to the own in a second. So go to Zillow, the Zillow rentals, and Zillow. Go to Zillow and find properties that are listed for rent by the owner. And you got to scroll. You got to click on a property, then you got to go to the details. You got to scroll, and you'll see if it says listed by property owner or listed by some property management company. You don't want the companies, you want the owners. And you contact them and you say, hey, my name is Gabrielle Simmons. I'm interested in renting your property from you. I can pay above market rent, and I'm open to paying 2 months rent up front. Okay, this is going to make people's antennas go off. Now they're going to be curious. Like, what are you talking about? And this is where you tell them, that you intend to rent it as a Airbnb, as a short-term rental. And we want to be very upfront about this. We want to be forthcoming with our intentions because that allows them to trust us. And when we can have a relationship of trust, we can work so much better. That's what I did. He told me that. That's what I did. I contacted 42. So the same day that he taught me this, I went home. I went on Zillow. I contacted 42 properties in my area that looked like they could be decent Airbnbs based on the location and the size. He told me to go for big properties. Now, this is in my market. In Colorado Springs, bigger properties do better. In different markets, it's going to be different things. If you're in Nashville, Tennessee, maybe like a condo close to downtown, that bar scene strip, I don't know what it's called, that area would probably be more of an ideal Airbnb, right? But depends on your market. So if you need some help clarifying that, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you do some research there. So I contacted this 42. All of them said no. 2 of them said maybe. 1 of them said, let's have a meeting. So I met with them and I explained to him, I said, hey, this is new to me, but I know I can do this. I've had a trucking business. I've done wholesaling, and I have a mentor. I have someone who's been doing it. So he actually was even willing to come in and have a conversation with these people as well and give them some reassurance, if you will, that I would have someone to go to ask questions in the scenario that I didn't know what to do, right? So I super appreciated his openness to do that. And those are the types of things that I'm happy to help y'all do too. Seriously, just ask the questions. If I can help y'all put some deals together, I will. Okay. So dude agreed. I rented the property, like I said, $2,800 a month times 2 plus $6,000 to furnish it. And in the middle of furnishing it, I was freaking out, y'all, because this was my money. That's the other thing. I used to use my money. Why? Now I know how to use other people's money. I know how to borrow money. I know how to build relationships with investors so that they're willing to give me hundreds of thousands of dollars to put into things like this. But this was my money. This was 10 grand that I'm talking, right, to put into this property, and I was nervous. But in the middle of furnishing it, we weren't even done yet. I got a booking. I took a couple pictures just like of the outside, front, back, and then like 2 of the bathrooms, I think, to show that it's a nice house, and listed it on Airbnb. Got my first booking. My first booking was 3 weeks. It was a 3-week long stay, and my payout was over 6 grand. So I already almost made all my money back in a 3-week period of time on one booking, right? Love it. Love it. Comment says, thank you. Me and my daughter just took this leap. Yes, I love that. I hope it's amazing for you guys. I really do. And even if it's not, y'all, and I don't mean this to sound cynical, but even if it's not, do it. Take the leap, right? That was me. That was trucking for me. It wasn't my forever thing. I thought it was at the time. I thought that buying a truck and becoming an owner operator was it, like that I made it and I was going to do that long term. I did it for a couple years and I was like, yeah, I'm good. I did it. Cool. Moving on. Airbnb can be that for you. It can be a stepping stone in the right direction. That's all I'm saying. So I duplicated the process. I got 3 more properties. The second house was another big ass house closer to the mountains. Beautiful property, made great money on that one. Now I made some mistakes. I didn't realize that in my lease, I should do longer than a 1-year lease. So I had these great properties that were earning me all this money, but because my lease agreement with the homeowner was only 1 year, after a year, they either saw how much money I was making and they were like, oh, we're going to go do this ourselves. Or the other one, they were like, oh, you fixed the place up. It looks so beautiful. Now we're going to sell it. I was like, damn. Right. So made some mistakes along the way, but learned some very valuable lessons. Yes. Comment. Been driving trucks 35 years. Time for something new. Let's do it. Let's get into real estate. Trucking for 35 years. That's a long time. Thank you for your service, right? Like we say that for military folks. I want to say that for you for trucking, because that is a service. You are providing a hell of a service for our entire country and for your family, I'm sure. And thank you for that, because it's not easy. I know it's not easy. I also took a leap, Mona. I've been studying for a while. I convinced an owner to give me the contract on his 25 acres. Ooh, love it. I would love to hear more about that, Wanda, if you want to share some details. Did you buy it seller finance? Did the seller do an agreement with you for you to make payments to him over time? That would be amazing to hear more about. So at the end of 2021, I not mastered, but I'm like a jack of all trades. I don't really master anything, but I do a lot of things very well. And so I got to a point where I was doing that really well. I actually hired one of my childhood friends who I went to middle school with. And her and I created a short-term rental management company together. So I was able to help put her in a position where she could make great money every month. I could help her bring on more clients to manage their properties. And I was making money on that too, and no longer had to manage my own property. So I got my time back. And that's really the most powerful part of all of this, guys. Trucking, real estate, any type of business, no matter what you're in, especially as an entrepreneur, if you have multiple businesses, earning our time back, that's the most valuable thing. And the more that you invest into real estate, it's going to invest back into you by giving you your time. You're going to get that time back to go spend time with your family, your friends, to travel, to take care of your body physically. I know a lot of y'all feel me there, especially when it comes to trucking for long periods of time. Our bodies physically is not good for us. right? We don't exercise as much. We don't barely walk. Our lungs might get weak. Our booties, man, I was reading all kinds of stuff about women getting dormant butt syndrome, right? Like that's a real thing. When you're trucking, you're sitting in the truck all day and your butt starts to get like weak basically. And so that can change the shape of your booty, that can change just how the muscles are completely. It's wild. So we want to get out of that a little bit and get our time back through real estate. So I have an agreement. I'm looking for a buyer, investor, or developer. Okay, Wanda. If you want to share some information with me about that, I would love to take a look, depending on where it is. I have partners, investors all across the country. We live outside of Nashville, Tennessee, so sky's the limit. Yes, sky is the limit when you're in Nashville, Tennessee, because that's a big, booming, popular area that's probably only going to continue to grow, right? So get out there, do something in real estate. So I don't want to take too much time. I'm gonna jump into the next section here. Okay. After learning how to control real estate without owning, right, by using arbitrage, I also learned and have now become very well versed in a strategy called subject to. You guys might have heard of this before. It's big in the real estate investing and wholesaling communities. Subject to is where you buy a house subject to the existing mortgage. So this is where we buy properties without bank loans. I was talking earlier about arbitrage. That's controlling properties without bank loans, but you don't get any ownership, right? You're just getting to use this asset for a little bit and make some money off of it. But here with subject to, we're talking ownership. You can buy, okay, and I'm gonna give you an example of a property that I bought. You can buy a property for, let's say, how much was that one? $5,000, $5,000. $3,000 to the seller, $2,000 to the real estate agent who brought it to me, okay? And you can take title. The title and the deed, title and mortgage are two separate things. So when you buy a property subject to the existing mortgage, the mortgage is going to stay in place. The mortgage stays in that seller's name, stays on their credit, all of that. But the title, which gives you ownership, which gives you control, allows you to sell that property. You cannot refinance the property by holding title, but you can sell it and you can do whatever the hell you want with it when you own the title. You can do that with as little as like $5,000, like the example I just gave. I've actually bought houses for less than that, subject to. My first one was $1,000. Subject to $1,000 to the seller to help them pay off some appliances. And I ended up wholesaling that deal to my investor because it was his lead. And I was pissed that I couldn't keep it myself. But he got to control a property for $1,000 out of pocket and got the house for $300,000. I want to say it was like $340,000. This was like 3 years ago. So excuse me if my numbers are kind of off, but I want to say he got it for $340,000. He controlled it for 1 year. Now this is when the market was going up like crazy. Okay, it ain't doing that no more. No matter what you hear on the news, it is not doing that. And he later sold it a year later for like $440,000. And all he did was pay $1,000. He held it for that time for about a year and rented it out and made a little bit of money. I think he made like $300-$400 a month between what the mortgage was and what he was charging for rent, and then was able to make a whole bunch of money selling it on the back end. So that is the power of subject to, of creative financing, like Wanda said. Yes, that is creative financing. And that's just one creative finance strategy. I utilize and teach multiple others, but subject to is something super valuable, super powerful that you guys want to learn about, because whether you're looking to buy something as an investment property or for a house for you to live in yourself, Who wants to go buy a house right now with interest rates where they are? Okay, interest rates are crazy. A house that, same house, same price. If you would have bought it a year and a half ago with the lower interest rates, your payment would be damn near half of what it is today. Okay, so keep that in mind. Interest rates are super high right now. So because of that, subject to is very powerful so that you can avoid those high interest rates. You can take over somebody else's mortgage that has a low interest rate. Okay. So we're going to take a break real quick, and then I'm going to get into some other things with y'all.
What up, everybody? It's your guy, T Swing. As you know, I was recently featured in the Trucker Magazine's March issue for my transportation music. Well, the wait is finally over. The transportation music is here now. Man, you can play it, stream it, download it, buy it, man. Spread the word. Good, clean music that jams. Be a part of history in the making, man. The first ever all transportation music album ever. Our own genre, transportation music. Ride what you got, T Swing. Let's get it.
Yes, let me show you how to pick it up and move it. Homie, this is transportation music. Something to ease your mind while you're cruising. Homie, this is transportation music.
Like this. There are cars everywhere.
Bobby's, you're about to get on the interstate.
Oh,
so
my
slow
God.
the truck down.
Oh, God.
Slow the truck down. For real, slow the truck down. Stay over here on the left, okay? Take your high side. Go up here, okay?
I cannot believe I'm getting on the interstate.
Accelerate, accelerate, accelerate. Stay on this side, accelerate. Go faster. Go faster. Faster, Bobby, faster.
Crap.
Look at all this traffic.
There are cars everywhere.
And then we're going to take it to the highest gear that you've ever been in. We're going to take it to the 10th gear.
Now?
Now. There we go.
10th gear, baby!
That commercial is so fun. It cracks me up every time. So yes, y'all, as you see popping up on the screen here, like, follow, share, subscribe. I am here to teach y'all all about real estate things, okay, and get you to change the mindset. If you haven't already, see, some of y'all have, some of y'all are there, some of y'all are in the process, but let's get you there, because trucking is beautiful. It's amazing. Trucking is an industry that is always going to have ebbs and flows, right? Same with real estate, though. But you can find a little bit more cushion, a little bit more security, consistency in real estate by going one of these many different paths I just talked to you about. And I want to help you guys get there. So like, follow, subscribe, Investor Lady G. That's my tag name on everything pretty much. Check out my YouTube videos. I got some old videos from when I was trucking. Go to my link tree. The link should be available to you guys as well. You can schedule a free call with me. You can buy, I have a whole entire course on wholesaling. I have a whole entire course on creative financing where I'm teaching you more in depth about subject to, as well as multiple other creative finance strategies of how you can buy and or control real estate. I teach you a little bit about borrowing money, getting private lenders, all those good things. I also have a mini course that you'll find in the link tree as well. That mini course is just like a little taste of what wholesaling is about, so that you can get a better understanding of if that's something you even want to get into or not, and what that looks like, because it is a very demanding type of work, unless you're going to hire everything out, which if you have the money to do so, you can certainly do so. You can hire out a lot of the wholesaling business tasks to other people, and you're kind of just like the closer, and you're the one getting the big checks at the end of the day. So definitely check those things out. Also, check out my book, my first co-authored, my first co-authored book with 6 other incredible women. And it's all about how we became unstoppable women in real estate. So this is not a book about teaching you about real estate. Really, it's about our journeys and how we got here. So I really hope you guys find some value in that. Check out the book. There's also a what's it called? What's the digital book thing that y'all can download? Audible. Yeah, no, not Audible. Kindle. There's a Kindle version. So you can read it on your Kindle if that's something that you like better. On YouTube, I am Investor Lady G as well. And you guys can check out my videos. Give me some comments. Let me know what y'all think. But I love teaching. I love coaching. You can also go directly to my website, Gabrielle at GabrielleSimmons.com. You'll find more information about the coaching opportunities that I offer. I do virtual and or in-person classes at least once a month on different topics, be it wholesaling or creative finance or specifically subject to. I also teach seller financing, arbitrage, as mentioned, and sandwich leasing. That's a fun one. But I really am grateful for the opportunity to come on this show. I hope you guys got some valuable information out of this. So I was just reading one of the comments here. Do your city have to be good to do all this? Tween, I'm not sure what you mean. Like if it's a city that maybe is a little bit more rural, like slower kind of thing. If that's what you mean, really controlling and owning property anywhere is a good idea. Okay. The question is at what cost, at what price? So the smaller towns, the more easygoing rural areas, you want to pay as little amount as possible. I mean, you want to pay as little as possible anywhere, but especially in places where it's not a booming city, it's not a booming state. You want to try to buy in at a really low price so that you can rent it out at a decent price and make some decent money, or, have the opportunity to flip it. So you got to really buy it at a super low price. The more rural the city is, because it's going to take a longer amount of time to sell typically. So what are your holding costs during that time that you're waiting for it to sell? You got to take that into account when buying houses that are more out in the burbs or more out where it's not a hot place where houses are flying off the market or people are soaking up rentals quickly. So definitely keep that in mind. Thank you so much for the congratulations. I appreciate you guys so much. This has been amazing. Sheree has always inspired me so much, and I can't wait to do more shows like this with her. If you guys need anything, seriously, just reach out. Send me a message. Usually Instagram, Facebook, or booking a call with me is going to be the best way to get a hold of me. But yeah, I think that's about it for today's takeover. And I'm so grateful that I had the opportunity to be in the business spotlight. Thank you guys so much. Peace and love, y'all.
She Trucking Podcast is an informative podcast that is dedicated to bringing listeners the latest news and updates from the ever-evolving transportation industry. Founded by industry expert and entrepreneur Sheree Moore, and powered by CTR Media Network. Whether you're a seasoned transportation professional or just getting started in the industry, the She Trucking Podcast offers valuable insights and advice to help you stay ahead of the curve. Learn more online at shetrucking.com.
What up, everybody? It's your guy T Swing. As you know, I was recently featured in the Trucking Magazine's March issue for my transportation music. Well, the wait is finally over. The transportation music is here now. Man, you can play it, stream it, download it, buy it, man. Spread the word. Good, clean music that jams. Be a part of history in the making, man. The first ever all transportation music album ever. Our own genre, transportation music. Ride what you got, T Swing. Let's get it.
Yeah, send me show you how to pick it up and move it. Homie, this is transportation music. Something to ease your mind while you're cruising. Homie, this is transportation music.